Hello. The purpose of this video is to help you set up an MLA style paper in the correct format. So let's go ahead and get started. All I have done is opened up a clean Word file, and if you take a look, you'll want to notice a couple of things. Automatically, Word defaults to Calibri font 11, and where we need to be, of course, is Times New Roman 12 font unless your instructor tells you differently. So we're going to do that, but I want to show you a couple things about how to make sure that your paper is set up correctly. First of all, page layout is going to show you where your margins are set, and if you go to page layout tab at the top of your screen and you click margins, you're going to see one of those highlighted. Now this happens to be on the correct format for the actual margins, 1 inch on each side, so that works out for us, but it could have easily been set somewhere else depending on which word you're using. So you would click this and that would go ahead and change it to 1 inch margins. So right now we're on the page layout and we want to go back to home. We're going to do a couple things. So the first thing about MLA is that there are page numbers on every single page. And rather than use a template, because templates can be finicky, we are going to set this up from scratch so that you know how to do that. Now, some people don't know how to get into their header without actually going into anything special. And all I have to do is mouse and toward the top of your document and double click with your left mouse button, and you're going to see it show up inside of this. Now on APA it's a little bit different. We would actually use different first page, but we're not going to do that on this because this is MLA. So let's go ahead and insert, and you're going to insert your page number. In MLA, all page numbers go in the right top hand corner of your page. So if you look at this, when you hit top of page, you're going to see plain number 3, and that is the correct one. And of course there are many ways of doing this, but we're going to use the long method so that you can always do this no matter what. The next thing is to put your last name. So we're going to put the last name of you, the student, and a space after it. Now, if you notice, when we go back to this home page, this is still set on Calibri. We haven't done anything here. And sometimes Word is finicky, and you will have to change the font inside your header and on your paper. So don't forget to double check this and make sure. We're going to go ahead and highlight this to make sure that we get it right. Pull down to 12. We're going to go find Times New Roman, which here it's on the recently used fonts because that's what I use for all the papers. But you can also type in, if you go to your keyboard, you can go Times New Roman and hit enter, and it's going to change that. Or you can also find it by scrolling all the way down this list because they're in alphabetical order. And you can click Times New Roman. So you see that the font has actually changed here. We're in 12 font Times New Roman. Now to get out of your header, all you have to do is bring your mouse down below your header and you're going to double click. And while this is already preset, just to be clear, there is a 1/2 inch requirement for the placement of your name and your page number. So just keep that in mind as well in case you see any problems with that as you're doing your paper. Now again, we're in Calibri. Let's go ahead and choose Times New Roman. And let's go to 12. And depending on who you have as an instructor or what you're doing with your paper, you may have to have different things in the heading, but we're going to go ahead and do the standard heading that you normally would have on your paper just to give you the standard format. Now again, you always want to listen to whoever is giving you the instructions to do this, but this is the standard way of doing it. Now in MLA, all text is double spaced, and there's a very easy way to take care of that problem before you ever start so you don't have any issues down the road. There's a little icon here that has the up and down arrow, and if you hover over it, it's going to tell you line and paragraph spacing. If you pull down on the side of that box, it's going to show you a lot of different options. 2.0 is double space, so we're going to do that, but we're also going to do something else that some instructors are very picky about. Go ahead and pull that box down again, and if you ever see either one of those say remove space after paragraph, you want to go ahead and do that. So we're going to do that in this case. Let's go back and look, and it's going to show you how these both say add now, and that's where you want it to look. That takes out any extra spacing. It will be strictly double spaced with no extra default spaces in there. So we are in the correct spot to start our header. We're going to put your name, the student. In this case, it's going to be Jackie Jones. You hit enter once, and then whoever your professor's name is, you want to put that here. So in this case, it's going to be Professor Bell. You're going to hit enter one more time. Then you're going to put the class name usually, and we're just going to use English 102. And on occasion, there'll be a section number that someone wants you to add, and you'll just write it in. So section 1. So the next line is reserved for the date, and this has a very particular format. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Let's do the 30th day of December 2017. That's actually a future date when I'm doing this, but we're going to do that so that it shows you how to do the entire date. And it's pretty simple, and it's always in this format. So you would normally see December 30th, comma 2017, but in MLA it's slightly different. So hit your enter button one time, and then what's going to happen is we need a title. So we are going to make up a title for this video, and it must be centered in MLA. So we need to go ahead and do that. And if you see these, it's very convenient that Word puts these up here. You've got make it go to the left margin, make it go to the right margin, and center. And then of course you have the justify button. That will spread your text across the page, making spacing where it'll meet both margins, and it's not something normally used to format papers. So we're going to hit center in this case. And for the name of the essay, we're going to we're going to compare and contrast two great leaders. In one of my classes, a student did a comparison between Hitler and Stalin. It was a historical comparison and contrast, and it was pretty interesting. So I have that on my mind right now. So that's our title. And then when you begin writing your text, it is going to be on the left margin. So you see that we are centered. You can get to the left margin two different ways. You can either click this button that we had up here before, or you can simply hit backspace, and it will go ahead and do that for you. Now, one thing that you will want to know also about MLA is that you have to indent your paragraphs. And typically, Word does that for you. So you hit tab. The tab button is on the left side of your keyboard, and that's where you'll begin your essay. So if we were going to talk about the two great leaders, we would put in some text here, and this would be your paragraph 1 and your introduction. And then when you go to your next paragraph, Word is going to automatically default to enter a tab spacing for you. So once I've gotten off of this paragraph and I go down to my next paragraph, it's going to usually automatically indent. If not, then you want to go ahead and do it yourself. Something else to note here is that students have a tendency to enter too many times after a paragraph. And I don't have my paragraph on this page yet. We're going to look through an example in another video, but I want to show you what I mean. So let's pretend for a second that we have our paragraph written and it's down here somewhere. And you're going to enter after your text, and you're going to start a new paragraph. So when you hit enter, what's going to happen is that is really the next line you should be starting on. But many times, students will hit enter several times, even up to 3, and it leaves a huge gap between your text. So all of your text in this entire document is going to have the same spacing. So while it may seem like you need to hit enter before you start a new paragraph. That is not the case. So please keep that in mind. And just a few reminders, as you are starting your essays, always use the tab key if it doesn't automatically indent for you. And you see that the indentation is slightly over to the right. And you also, a couple of people who have maybe a word processor, another mistake that I have seen that is a very simple one to make, very easy to make, is that they'll get over to the end of the line of their text and they'll hit enter. But in Word, what happens is all of your text is just going to flow naturally over to the next line. So if you give it a chance, it's going to fix it for you. That's why we have 1-inch margins, and it's just very easy and user-friendly. So I hope that you'll subscribe to the channel for other educational tidbits of information on formatting and general writing, editing, revising. I'll be posting videos every day up to every other day, and the next set of videos will be directly related to MLA formatting. The next one is actually the works cited page, and then we'll go through an example paper to help you understand how it works and what an entire product looks like. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good day.